Good evening.
all.
Welcome back to another episode with
Collective consciousness.
Well done.
Hey!
We're coming in from my whare tonight. And we are going to jump straight into another podcast and talk about one on a Mel Robbins podcast regarding, she's got a guest on her podcast, which is 4 Signs of Emotional Immature Parents and How to Heal. And her guest is, who was it?
Lindsay, was it Lindsay L. Crawford?
No. Oh, Crawford. No, Lindsay Gibson, which
Gibson.
Reminds me of my doctor.
Dr. Lindsay C. Gibson.
But we'll put all that caption up for you in somewhere in our video.
And we just thought this one was super interesting, didn't we? Because it's...
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to this. And I just kind of I guess I don't like the word immature, so I'm going to put in there as emotionally unavailable. I just like that. I prefer that myself. And I feel like we've all had parents or some experience there that has brought us.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody.
So you want me to kick it off?
Okay. Yes, baby.
So I'm going to kind of go back to my childhood and give a bit of a picture of how that shaped me into being the person that I was, and also into the parent that I was. Still working through some things as a parent, because again we're not perfect, but I think growing up there was mum was a solo mum and was bringing up 3 of us kids. I was the baby, the youngest. And my 2 middle brothers were always around and took care of me when she went off and played sports and stuff like that. But I do have really, really beautiful memories right up until the age of, say, 7. Mum was always kind of had that motto of bringing the boys up, and then she was implementing that into me when I came into the picture of you will get love first thing in the morning, last thing at night, throughout the whole day is just discipline. And she said it, and it used to, because I had this conversation with her, and she said that it used to work really well with the boys. The boys were just, Mum just had a really good structure with them and stuff like that. And I think me being a girl, I didn't. It kind of worked with me, but then it didn't. But that was okay. They were kind of like the guys that would always look after me growing up when she would go out and play. My dad was always around. I used to see him on the weekends and school holidays. My dad was a very quiet man. He didn't say much. Very loving. Mum was the more kind of like disciplinary woman, parent. But she, when she lost, or when my brother got sick, things just really changed in our family, because a lot of her attention went to my brother, of course, that's understandable, and then losing, but the passing of him was really hard. I mean, you lose one child, but then to lose 2 in the space of a year was definitely difficult. So
can't even imagine.
No, neither. So the ages of from 8 and onwards, that I think that was a real difficult time, and that was a big pivotal change in mine and my mum's relationship, because again she's grieving not only 1 but now 2 children, and there was this big I guess gap in between us, and I remember there was a time where she sold our house. We went into a business, and she pretty much buried herself in that business. And
overworking is one of the signs of grief.
Yeah. And again, I can't remember myself grieving about my brothers and stuff like that. But Mum, I think we just couldn't have me because I wasn't really listening. I was kind of playing up a bit and
probably just being a kid as well.
Even at school. And she said to me, okay, look, you can either stay here or go with your father. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be here. I'm out. I only stayed with my dad, and it was only for a short period of time staying with my dad because Mum just obviously needed a break. But I thought I was going to live with him full time, and I was quite happy with my dad. You know, I miss my mum and stuff like that, but she obviously needed, thinking now, is I think she needed some time for herself. And it was hard for her to try and be available for me, you know, through her grieving. So, and then she wanted me back, and then my dad says, "Oh, your mum's rung, and she wants you to come back." And I was like, "No, I don't want to go." I literally remember I said, "No, I don't want to go, Dad. I want to stay with you." And he goes, "Oh, kind of don't have an option. I need to go." So anyway, went back, but then Mum kind of, in order to a way of her dealing with her grief, just kind of was. Finding herself in relationships and in drinking. I don't, you know, I'm not want to paint a picture that my mum's a horrible mother because she wasn't. I have some really beautiful memories with my mum growing up, but it was just that part of her not being emotionally available for me. But I think that was even there prior.
We can see that self-soothing with what we're learning now, right?
Oh, yeah, self-soothing. But I think that even that, for her, that love that she couldn't give me was probably there even before being a parent. Which is something that would have gone through, from her parents. And I remember asking her, how did you handle, like, how were you able to kind of still carry on being a parent to me, know what you were going through? She was like, well, I had to. You were still, I had to take care of you. So she did all the other things of taking care of me, but just not the love and the emotional kind of side of things of caring and soothing and regulating and all that kind of stuff of me. And was I okay of, you know, losing my brothers? You know, where was I at feeling with that? I don't think I was ever asked about that, but
quite young. I think back then it was like not really spoken about. It's just like, yeah, they're gone and let's move on and be tough and all of that as well. It was very different, you know, back then too, isn't it? Like the love, I think, from parents back then, they weren't shown it. So, you know, to be jumping this, it's like, got to be hard, you got to be tough, especially if you're a man. And, you know, women just get down to business and do the house and do everything. And like you say,
Mum was like that.
Yeah.
You have your moment, you cry, and then you got to pick yourself up, and you got to soldier on. That was how Mum always brought that into us as kids, as we were all taught to be very independent of ourselves. Don't rely on nobody for anything. And I also remember, Mum's love. It was hard sometimes. You know, if I'd cry or be emotional, it was like, what are you crying for?
Or a bit conditional.
Don't cry. It's not good. It's not kind of going to help you. You know, but have your tears now, and then wipe them away, and then carry on.
And conditional. You know, I love you in the morning and night, but
you always got that from Mum.
Yeah.
Always in the mornings, she got your greetings and stuff like that. But throughout the day, it was just like, no, you got to be disciplined. Yeah, and then nighttime it was kiss goodnight and maybe a song. I remember Mum used to sing me a song as a kid, so I do remember that song. But I think how that shaped me into my own adulthood, I would always look for someone to love me, you know, so my relationships weren't always, you know, weren't all the right ones, you know, in that sense.
And how did it? What did you notice in yourself? Obviously, you became a parent at a younger age.
At 21, I fell pregnant. I will be honest, is that I was, even though I thought to myself, I'm ready to be a mother, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I wasn't.
I think we all do first time mums.
Yeah.
First time dads, first time anything. Yeah. No book or Bible.
No. Mum was dead against me having a child. She's just like, no, you're not ready. But I was like, no, don't tell me. I'm having this child whether you like it or not. But it grew on her. But yeah, having that parent that was detached was, and I think also through her relationships, Mum was, looking for love in the wrong places, and I just remember a lot of them, some of them weren't the best ones to be exposed to, because some of them there was drinking involved, and there was violence and stuff like that, and
which could have made you think, oh, that's okay for me,
because I do remember when she was grieving for my brothers, that I do remember that I had to. I remember she went out one night, and I would have been about 10, and I was by myself, and I remember being really concerned. Like I was scared being on my own, but I was okay. But I was more concerned about where she was and if she was going to be okay, and her safety.
And her coming back to you.
Yeah. And I also remember I felt like I had to grow up before my time, and I wanted to help her through her grieving, but I didn't know how to fix that. And that's where that kind of that was then built into me of wanting to fix people when they're going through some hardship times. And I just remember that I couldn't take her grief away from her and the pain that she was going through. So, me being a parent, I feel like I was emotionally unavailable to a degree with my son. I was also my parenting skills weren't. I didn't have any idea what I was doing, kind of thing. But I had what tools I had and knowledge from what my mum did. I kind of followed in those footsteps. And the love that I had for my son is it's unconditional. So
goes without saying.
Yeah, and it's how can I say? There's been times with him. Like I know that the relationships I got into didn't help what I was exposing to him. You know what I mean? And I knew that there was times where he didn't feel protected in relationships, and I was the passive parent in those relationships because I would allow somebody else to discipline my son, thinking that they're right when I wasn't agreeing on what they were doing, and I would allow it, and then I would feel and then I would feel like shit because why don't I just allow that to happen? Like what message am I sending to my son? And I know there's been many times he would have just felt so unprotected by me.
And that's not easy.
No.
But again, your lessons and your challenges along the way, and I'm sure you will speak to or have spoken to him, and hopefully that he hears and understands that it was your journey, and obviously never meant to hurt or harm him in any way.
No.
Emotionally, spiritually, anyway. We never want to put our kids in harm's way, but
no. I know there was some times where I've seen my parenting styles have been very similar to my mum's.
Yeah.
And there's been moments where I think, that's what my mum used to do.
What are you up to?
Now I'm kind of now doing that with my son. I was just like, oh, that's got to change, you know. But it took a long time for me to really get to that point. You know, he's an adult now, so I'm very mindful of how I am, and even like for me as being a parent, where I would put the pressure on him of if he didn't contact me or if he didn't text me, I would make him feel guilty, because then I would ring him and I'd be emotional because you didn't make me feel good by you texting and responding to me.
Felt like you weren't thinking of me or whatever, when you probably was.
I'm feeling unloved.
Yeah.
But I'm putting that pressure on my son, who's like,
to give it to you.
To give it to
me.
me.
I love you. What are you on about?
Yeah. But it's not in the way that I want you to. It's not in the way that you're giving it to me that I want it to be.
Yeah.
So again, that's pressure on him, and it's like I you know, I just think I know there's definitely parts where I've contributed to the way he is, somewhat in some of his relationships. You know, I know it's hard for anyone to be vulnerable. I mean, we're being vulnerable right now, talking about stuff like this. But I know that I see that a little bit in him, and I've kind of like I do, and it's when you carry that guilt and that shame with you, it really does eat away at you. And then I feel like I want to try and
break it,
and make it better for him. But I thought the only way I can do that is by me setting the example. So that's why, bettering myself. And so I still always
getting
continue.
the knowledge, breaking the chains, the generational
stuff. But I definitely just try and not get too involved in his love life. But I also make sure that he knows that I'm always here for him, no matter what, and I will never take sides. You know,
and you can give advice. It's also whatever he wants to take from that. Hey, I may have, learned a bit of this and that here and there, but it doesn't mean you're going to be like that or do that or anything. But it's just like, this is what I, might see something like that in you, but hey, this is what I learned. You can take it or leave it.
I try to do that, but I also just am mindful of being aware of that I'm not doing it that it's about making you feel guilty, but it's just bringing some kind of a sharing of some observation that I've seen, and letting you know, but it's also just asking them, like, how do you feel when you do that to her, or and vice versa. Like, I see him sometimes really stand up for himself, which is beautiful, because I want him to be standing up for himself when he's not comfortable with something. And what's going on,
which is
his
not
dynamics.
easy, as we know. No, people pleasing or whatever. If we have been brought up with that,
he definitely doesn't do that. Which I love that about him. You know what I mean? It's one of his beautiful traits, that he will not do what other people want him to do. You know what I mean? But I know he tries his best to be open and vulnerable and available for his partner.
Which is awesome.
And it's a working progress.
Everything is. All relationships. Friends.
Just because you think you've got it doesn't mean you have.
No.
Because you don't. Right?
It's consistent work.
No. And I think for a long time I kind of had to really forgive myself for the way I've been as a parent to him, and how I've kind of shown him how things meant to be when really they're not. You know what I mean? If he comes to me about something about his dad, I because there was a story that I'll share a little story, is when I moved over to Aussie and I was staying with him, and just to help him kind of, it was to make sure that he would finish school, because I wanted him to finish school. What you did after that, I don't care. I don't expect you. I don't want to put an expectation on you to go and finish high school. That's an option for you to look at. If you don't, sweet ass, I don't care what you do. If you want to go work at Big Mac, Big Mac. If you want to go work at McDonald's, cool. Go be the best fucking burger flipper in the world. I don't care what you do, as long as you are happy in what you do, right? But I know on the other side of his dad, he was like, no, he needs to do this and he should be doing this and doing it. And I was like, oh, I was the opposite to that, you know. It's like, you need to just let him figure that out. He's only 18, not even, no, 17, 16. He hasn't even figured, I'm 40, I haven't figured shit out. Let him figure that out for himself, but he's got to go and explore that, you know what I mean? So
it's
I would
okay
come
to make
in,
mistakes.
I was coming in with that kind of energy with him, is that I will support you no matter what you do. Okay. But I remember we went out one day, I think we'd gone shopping, and I don't know how it came about, but we just rocked up into the carport, and I must have said something. And now I know growing up as a kid for me with mum, the word dumb used to get thrown around a lot. Fucking hate that word. And it used to make, you know, and if you think someone calls you that, it's a seed that's planted now, it's in there.
It's a trigger.
So I used to always think I was never good enough for anything. Never smart enough to do anything, right? So I now pass that on to him. Not intentionally. Unconsciously. That's coming from my subconscious. So I'm telling him some of those things. And anyway, we rocked up, and Kyle would have been about, I'd say 16 going 17 at that time. And so he said to me one day, he turned to me in the car and he was like, you know, I really hate it when you say I'm dumb. Really hate it. It still gets me.
Okay.
I don't know why it still gets me today, but in that moment when he said that to me, I was just like, the kind of, again, another penny just dropped, and I was just like, whoa. In my head, I said, my mum used to say the exact same thing. And I said to him, okay, I was like, one, I'm really sorry that I called you that and I ever made you feel that you are, because you're not. And I said, and I thank you for bringing that up and sharing that with me. But I said, if I can kind of give you a picture to understand of where that conditioning inside for myself has come from, I said, Nan used to say the exact same thing to me. And I said, and it used to make me feel like shit and worthless. And I said, now I've passed it on to you, but I said, from today on, I said, it stops. And I said, I'm never, ever going to call you that again, because I know how it makes me feel. Now I know that it's making you feel the way that I do. I'll never say that to you ever again. But I was so grateful for him to be able to feel comfortable enough to tell me, you know, I actually don't like that.
That would have been hard to,
it was so hard. It was really hard to hear it, but I was so thankful also, because I could never say that to my mum.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because the strength in him to say that to you was like, wow. Yeah.
Because I think also, because if I was to, I think I've said it to my mum, and it was never taken in a way of a reflection. I was able to reflect within myself and think, fuck, that's not good. That's not on. And I don't want him growing up, even as me in my 30s, late 30s, he's only like half my age, to grow up knowing that I'm not capable of able to do anything in my life. I'm not going to be able to get through school. I'm not smart. I'm not this and this and that. I don't want him to grow up having that same conditioning like I did. So that's why I was like, I'm glad you spoke about that, and I'm glad you brought that up and you were able to tell me. And I was just like, yeah, no, things have got to change. I've got to change. And that might have been where I just started to really look at myself as a parent.
Beautiful.
I know I'm still not perfect, and he's even told me that. Because there was another incident where he said to me, I think I was wanted to have a talk to him, and I do sometimes get afraid to want to say something to him because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, and I think I also don't want to push him away. But I wanted to bring something up to him, and I was talking about something about being disappointed, and that's such a big word to say to your children, because you're telling them now that I'm disappointed in you, and that's going to put pressure on them, as now I didn't make you happy about something that I did. And anyway, we're driving and we just finished the gym, and I was talking to him about it, and I said I felt disappointed in this and that, and he just looks at me and he goes, you're not perfect, Mum. At all. I was like, oh. You know, actually you're right, I'm not. And who am I to actually sit here and tell you that and bring this up to you, that this has made me disappointment because of your imperfection, when really I'm not perfect either. But he said, you're not perfect, Mum, so don't sit there to pretend that you are. Wow. And I was like, touche.
Boom.
I was like, and I sat with that and I was like, yep, okay, no, fair enough. I will take that on the chin, and it made me really think, what am I trying to say here?
Yeah.
So I always keep those stories and those times in my mind, and that when I do approach him and I want to talk about something, I always consider his feelings and what he's going through first. And I always think, is it important for me to say it? And if I am going to say it, how am I going to deliver it to him? Yeah. So I always keep that in mind now with my baby, and it's a work in progress as a parent. Absolutely. But there's some really cool moments when your kids are in that comfortable
age to say things.
Yeah, or just in a comfortable place within themselves that he can, because I know there's been times where he struggles to say some things to his father. And when he expresses it to me, and I said, have you spoken to him about it? I don't tell him. He won't know if you don't tell him. Yeah. But again, that whatever his concerns are, to not want to say it is something that he needs to work through himself. But I will always listen when he does want to express those things as a parent. So I've learned to just, I find reflecting more on myself and understanding my childhood upbringing with my mum and my dad, how that's kind of shaped me, has made me kind of really understand where all that came from, and so that you know where you can change yourself, you know, into being a parent, where you can, you know.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing, brother.
It's just so
good. Hey?
Yeah, but you know, it's it's life, isn't it? It's human. We're human. At the end of the day.
Do you think you've forgiven yourself?
Well, that was one thing that, you remember when we went and had that reading with the medium lady, and I had the blessing to connect with my father in that reading, and the one thing that really stood out for me with that is he said to me, you're very forgiving of others but not of yourself. So he said, if anything, I'm going to give you a message, is forgive yourself. Yeah, we all make mistakes, but you need to forgive yourself. And I've been on that path of really, and you don't trying, forgiving myself and looking back at some of the things that I've done, and some of the things that I've said to my mum, to my son, and how I've behaved and what I've exposed him to, is I've had to really go through those timelines and forgive myself for that. And I've even actually I think I've sat down with him and said to him one time, I think when I left him in Australia with his dad to come back here, I really didn't want to, but I remember asking him, I said, son, this is what's going on, what should I do? Like, I'm asking my 19-year-old, what should I do? And I think in that moment, me asking him, I wanted him to say to me, just stay, Mum.
You got. Yeah.
But I chose not to. For reasons of shit coming over back home here. But what he said to me, which I think any matured person would have said, is do what makes you happy, Mum.
Wow. Yeah, at 19, eh? Crazy.
At 19.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, wow, you're much mature than I am right now, and beyond my years. And I just thought, yeah, that's a message in itself, because I should have just stayed, but I didn't. And anyway, I wanted to amend that action and that decision that I made to leave, because in my heart I didn't want to. But I remember just saying to him, look, because I had a conversation with his dad about it, and he brought some light to it, which was beautiful, you know. And I've always maintained our relationship, him and his dad. The only time I think we would ever have miscommunications or not aligned on things is to do with Kyle.
Yeah.
Because I thought, no, I'm going to protect you now, even though I did back then, but I'm going to protect you now. So if there was things that I didn't kind of agree upon when it came to Kyle, I would definitely voice it with his father. And he didn't have a shit show, so I really kind of knew. But yeah, I said to my son, you know, I wanted to just bring it up that I'm really sorry that I did, because I really didn't want to leave you. And I guess he was just like, what are you apologising for? Because again, it's kind of being vulnerable, and it's going into those spaces where people, you know, just leave it
festering in you, so you needed to release it for you.
I wanted to just I think say it, and for myself to, I guess, release myself from the chain of it,
right.
But also letting him know. And I think it's also important for them, even though at that moment he'd be like, no, it's fine, what are you talking about? But I felt like there was a receiving.
I've sort of heard you.
I appreciate it, Mum. Just through the eye contact, I think. I appreciate you saying that, Mum, in some way without even saying it. You know? Yeah. So I was like, I was happy with it.
Yeah, needed to hear it probably, but still not going to respond, because it's like, it's all good.
He doesn't need to, you know. I just could see it and feel that. I felt like he really received that apology, because it's in a genuine apology. I want him to know, you know. So, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Oh, Bubby. Life, yes, it's a journey. It's not. It's not straightforward. It's not easy.
No. But I think sometimes you need to have a continuation of a conversation that we had from a podcast with Mel Robbins, with the 4 signs of knowing. Let me find it now. Sorry, guys. This is not to be perfect either. 4 signs of emotionally immature parents, and how to heal, which is what we're doing, right?
Yes.
We've been on this journey for quite a while now, and this is a really kind of tricky. It's not a tricky one, but this is quite an in-depth.
Sharing is hard.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely, and seen and been heard. But this I think this podcast particularly is, I would say, quite a emotionally one for both of us.
Yeah.
Because we both have grown up with parents who, the way they said it on there, I don't think I agreed with the wording. Remember I said?
That's right.
Yeah. And like emotionally immature, I think I preferred emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, and their baggage that they had.
Yeah.
And why it's hard is because we're digging up where it's coming from, which is deep.
Yeah.
But again, we're not, how do we say it? We can say it now. I'm not bagging on them or anything, but we're just figuring out how and why we lived and did what we did and what doors we opened.
Yep.
Just going back to the beginning, even though it's not their fault, they've lived their journey, but just painting a sort of a little picture of each of our lives and how our parents sort of came in and out, and how things can sort of, there can be a main trigger, maybe, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of going back to the book that was written in your life, and you're going back to finding who actually wrote it from the way beginning, so you can understand yourself a lot better and your parents, and just where all that comes from, that programming and conditioning
and bringing all that up is
trauma and so we're gonna continue with
Don't give me that face.
on what have you discovered for yourself and around your parents, and what their part played in on how you've become the person that you are, and now have really looked at and changed that for yourself, but just understanding you through your experiences, but where their part has played in it as their parenting from the beginning, from start.
So my childhood was amazing, don't get me wrong. We had beautiful homes. My dad was a builder. He built our mansion. I always remember him saying, "You're going to live in the sky." It's only just a 2-level house, but something that always stuck with me.
Beautiful way to put it.
Yeah. We had a little bit of acre, so always out, I had animals, we tramp, just free lifestyle back then, out and about. Go outside, come in for dinner or snacks. So beautiful childhood. How do I put it in the sense of, it's jumping a bit, but from childhood to 11 was when my parents split up.
So that's when things kind of changed.
Obviously, shifted for me. I'm not sure how far to go back. So basically they split up at 11, and obviously I was pretty much lost from then. Me and my older sister and my younger sister. Mum did leave. It was very unexpected. They never fought. They, you wouldn't see anything as a child as there was any problem. It was sort of like, whoa.
So there was nothing that kind of sprung out to you that gave you like an indication that things aren't really right, and that's probably why.
Really like, what's happened?
Yeah.
When she left, obviously, or what I've come to realize is you blame yourself. I'm like, oh, Mum doesn't love us. She's left me. Mum's gone. Okay. Strange.
Can I ask? I don't mean to. I'd like to kind of
pry.
Yeah. What that day when she left? Like, how did that play out? And
it's still very vivid.
Yeah.
It's still very upsetting as well. She just was in the garage. We all went in the garage, and Dad was like, "Oh, Mum's leaving, and she's not coming back," and we just waved. Very unusual, and I was like, "Oh, why?" Like, I don't remember ever being spoken to.
So there was no kind of like, let's all sit down together as a family, and let's talk about this, and this is what Dad and I are looking at, so that you guys could have a bit of I guess a heads up of what's kind of going on. Yeah.
So, there was really nothing for a long time. We went to obviously visit Mum every second weekend. It was me and my older sister. Dad obviously had to keep working, so it was like, you do the same routine. We ended up getting a nanny, so everything, really all of that is just very like, whoa, upside down, like, things aren't normal.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to just kind of back it up a little bit, and on that day, if you can remember, or kind of just, inquire a little bit of how did it make you feel that day when Mum was... That was Mum's going, she's not coming back, she's leaving. How did that make you feel inside?
Unloved. Yeah. Unloved. Yeah. Like she's leaving me.
Yeah.
I've done something wrong.
Really?
What's happened? Why are you going? We turn to instant blame, don't we, as we've learned.
Yeah.
But definitely unloved.
Did you feel confused?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you blame yourself.
Were you able to confide in anyone about it at that time? Like Dad or... No. How old was your older sister?
She's 2 years older than me, so 13. So very bad. I mean, no time's a good time, but if you're unhappy, then it's got to happen, which I've obviously learnt, But no, she turned to all sorts of things, drugs, etc.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I went along that path too,
Yeah.
but later on, I was a bit older.
Mm-hmm.
And then our little sister left 2 years later. So she sort of just, was, I can't remember how long exactly, but about 2 years later, she ended up going to live with mum too. So that was sort of another bit of a like, whoa, what? Now she's leaving.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Dad could obviously handle 3 girls on his own working. Nanette, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
So I don't remember how I felt then, but I can't imagine how she felt. But she was a bit younger, so she's 5 years younger than me.
Good.
So yeah. Anyway, back to that. Obviously, my older sister was like then my my mother, or what do you call it? You know, she tried to take.
She kind of stepped into that role. And
she's still 13, a baby herself. It's crazy when you think of the age. Yeah. Dad was working, obviously, had to, probably heartbroken also.
Yeah. He's trying to deal with his own grief and what's going on.
He went away for a while too. I can't remember how long, so that's why we got a nanny and stuff. And again, you know, nannies, it seems fine, but it's a stranger and it's just really unusual, you know? Anyway.
So you said your dad left as well?
So he went and had a break, yeah.
How long was the break?
Yeah, I can't honestly remember exactly how long. But yeah, just to probably recoup himself. So, so where should I go to from here? Probably like why mum left. So yeah, say
you can if you want to. If you want to, kind of just so people can say why she left, like because they may be thinking about why did she leave. So you don't have to give full details if you don't want to.
Yeah. So I never knew for a long time. Anytime anyone talked about divorce or anything, like I knew there was something in me. I couldn't talk about it. I would be anxious. My body would freeze. I'd freak out. Wow. And I held this for a long time. And then I remember my mum speaking to me. I was about 22 when she finally explained or had the courage, I don't know, whatever.
Did you ask her something?
I don't even remember how that came about either, to be honest, because I think, like you say, we have this mental block, but you sort of remember the age and the significant things that you're like, whoa, I get it.
That are important to you, that kind of stay vivid,
So mum left for her own reasons. You know, not maybe being fully in love and doing things she probably, you know, deep down didn't really want to do, but did because of people pleasing, you know, again, I don't know, could have been making wrong choices, I don't know, for her. Anyway, when she explained all that, I felt much better. Obviously, you can imagine on Dad's side how hard that would have been, you know, really not.
Do you think he would have got any, what's the word I'm looking for, any kind of clarity or any kind of comforting of closing that door of understanding of why she left? Like, do you think that he got that kind of?
I don't know whether he wanted to.
Okay.
Don't think he wanted to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. No, it's like you broke your heart. How do you mend it? You broke the family. How do you mend it? In my eyes, I think there's definitely ways to mend. I think mending is super, super important.
Yeah.
I think when you can see, I mean, very hard being in it, but when you can see how someone has been brought up, then you should have some type of understanding and compassion, even to forgive yourself or whatever, to be able to move forward, because I think you can hold that shit. Yeah,
because I feel like when you do have a clear picture of understanding of what your parents have been through prior to them coming into being your parent, because like I said before, is that you'll have history with your parents, but there's always a past before you of being them being your parents, right? So it kind of helps to connect the dots for you of this is why I am the way I am, and this is why they've kind of behaved the way I am, because they've kind of gone through that with their upbringing and their childhood. So yeah, I feel like if you are open enough and willing enough to, and if they're open enough to
answer some questions for you so that you understand them, it does kind of give you a bit more compassion, I think, to them, and it does clear things up.
It usually happens with time,
so
though. Definitely time can be,
timing,
and carrying this for so long, and anyone's can be very hard to then delve in, because it's like, well, I've carried this for so long, I may as well just carry on.
Yeah.
So Mum's generation, or whatever you would call it, was very hard. So she wasn't really shown much love. So hers was, you know, she couldn't say I love you. She could never really cuddly, just, you know, there. Definitely loves you, but showing it, which is, I think, crucial in a relationship. Dad was very loving. So I think for her it was just showing that, and you need to tell someone you love them, you know, give them hugs, especially your children, but, you know, there was still felt love, but it was just very different to Dad's. Dad's was, I remember his 3 squeezy hugs at night, so the very day he'd hug you real tight and he'd be like, 3, and he'd blow the air out of you. It's just so cute. Yeah, 3 squeezy hugs and good night, you know, so just very affectionate, very loving and caring. So very different, you know, which is so interesting, even in the dynamic of the relationship.
It is, because I think some parents who didn't receive that kind of real primal, like love and acceptance from growing up, which brings up a healthy child, and then you know that you've got that, you will give that to your child. So if you growing up and you didn't have it, I feel like there's 2 ways you can go. You're either going to give it to your child because you know you didn't receive it. So I want my child to feel love because I don't want them to feel what I went through.
That's right.
Or I don't understand it, but this is just the way that it is, and I'm programmed this way, and I'm just going to be giving you what I know how to give.
I think in this day and age, though, there's more of that changing, because we can talk about it. You know, it's not so...
It's more normalised.
Yeah, the old generations, you know, they didn't have... It's fine to cry. It's fine to hug. It's fine to love, you know.
Well, yeah,
it's fine to talk.
Yeah.
So I think it is changing slowly, but, our generation's just on the cuff. But we're changing, I feel like, hopefully our children and, you know, our grandkids and so forth.
Yeah. That healing is definitely becoming more shifted into this era now with the new generation. Because it is.
Love.
But like if we don't have what you don't, if you don't have what you can give, then you know you can't really. What does it say?
If you don't or get,
if you don't have what you're meant to give, what you know, giving that love. If you don't have it for yourself, then you can't give it to another person. But I said sometimes it depends on the individual. They can think, oh well, I grew up with that love, but now I've got a child of my own. I don't want to. And that can be just coming to awareness of yourself and realizing that was just not how I want it to be for this generation. So I'm shifting and breaking that cycle and changing it.
Definitely, and that's why they say all this stuff can be generational, obviously. So that's a little bit of my story. How from there, what does that go into?
So how do you think that has growing up in those dynamics, right, for yourself, and then you coming into a relationship and becoming a parent yourself to 2 beautiful children, looking at your time of being a parent and still today, how has that impacted you to parenting your children?
From teens were obviously up and down, having this baggage and this confusing stuff that you could talk about. You're meeting the wrong guys, you're, you know, doing things you shouldn't be doing, you're allowing things that you would not normally allow, like being cheated on, you know, going down the drug race.
We can say we went down drugs, or we can say I went down a road of...
Shouldn't have opened that door.
Creating adaptations to soothe my reality of what's going on in my life.
100%.
Again, it's not the drugs, it's what's internally going on within you. That's
covering
kind of numbing that in a sense, you know what I mean? Or it's just exploring, but again, it's when you're not aware of it and you're kind of in that naive state of mind. You just,
I think that's when,
which is okay.
like, people pleasing and stuff and all that came around then too. Like, my sister would always talk for me. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just trying to protect me.
Yeah.
So I never really had a voice from then, or I was shy and holding all this stuff, which then, I stayed shy. Yeah, stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And then also, what my main realization was being abandoned. Obviously, I felt abandoned when the split happened for me.
Totally.
Because
we worked on that in root cause therapy.
We did. Yeah. So that was my main thing. That other things can stem off, but that was like my main holy shit. So that was the catalyst. Yeah, I've been attracting guys who weren't going to stay, who were going to cheat on me. Yeah, which was
because even though you are a loving and caring person to the core of you, there's still going to be, I think, subconsciously our values and our beliefs in us about ourselves are going to play out, which are going to attract relationships that are going to mirror what we experience
going on
with our childhood, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a mirror to show you where things need to be worked on, or what is revealing to you, that this is not healthy. But until you kind of see that pattern, you're not going to really, understand it. Until like a little bit later on in life, till something happens, and it's just like, okay.
Even looking back now, though, sometimes it's like your soul is just like and like I remember the times now, like when it's just like, this is not right for you, let's stop this, and you've got to really try and hone in now to be like, before you sort of, you can't choose the wrong door. It's all about like, it's a learning experience towards what you want to be. But
it's like it gives you an option. There's this door here, which is kind of all good, or is there that door? And I was going to ask you, do you felt like you got any kind of internal kind of signals within yourself, or like, look, as they call them, like red flags?
Yeah, 100%.
Don't go down it.
Yeah. I'm thankful for my friends and family who got me off several of those routes, that weren't the best,
A lot of support.
Yeah, definitely was on one train for quite a while, and I think that was until Mum spoke to me, I think, still. So it was before, still being lost, looking at the age gaps. I had got pregnant and was really sure that I didn't want that. That was when I was about 16.
Yeah.
So
that was huge.
Yeah, massive things that I had fully blocked out until I did this work with you. I just didn't even. I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm sweet. No, I don't need counselling. I know. Like, that was a definite like, this isn't right for you. Let's get out of this. But
which was good that you were able to see that and like be aware of it.
But have also blocked it. It's done, cool, sweet, we're done. Which
we put under the carpet,
looked at it,
put it in the box, leave it there,
accepted it for what like none of that. There was
no unraveling about it and kind of talking about it to have it settle.
No, like when we spoke about it, I was like, shit, that all happened. Wow. Poor girl. Like looking back at her and going, shit, that was tough.
That was I was going to say 16, but that's a huge decision.
Crazy.
And something to really kind of experience within yourself, and then having to realise, I'm not going to be able to have this child. I can't, because I'm not fit for.
Well, he's not right.
Not the right mind. And neither is the relationship. So why am I bringing a child into this world where I'm not able to?
And thankful for our women's rights and choices. Obviously, that was my choice at the time. But
I know there'll be people out saying, "Well, why didn't you wear protection?"
Of course. You do. It was again, miss the pill, or your body's not reacting right. Who knows? I can't even remember what the reason, but I know I was on the pill.
Yeah.
So many things that you see that are like, no, but again, being a youth, it's like working through it all. We have to make these mistakes, but if we could have been aware of where it all came from initially, I just feel like
hindsight.
yeah, you just wouldn't. Oh my God. You'd be like, you know this is wrong. What are you up to? And you'd be gone before all of the stuff that,
It would be so cool if we all had our own little personal crystal balls, right? But we don't, and because there is, I still believe that we do need to go through certain things in life and whatever those lessons are and how they actually play out and look for you is what's going to teach you, because if you look at yourself now, what have you come to know and achieve within yourself? You know what I mean?
Gosh, yeah, just trusting, inner peace, you know, knowing that everything that you go through is also meant for you. You know, whether it be right or wrong in your eyes, I think sort of wrong, as Peter Crone would say, eh?
Yeah.
Everything is, you know, it's your path. It's going to happen, you know. Yeah. Whatever you learn or take out of it. It's just being more aware of yourself, though, you know, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important to know when you look at your choices of what you've chosen is what can I learn from it? What did I learn from that?
And again, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't. Like it's definitely all there for a reason. And also what I did overcome is like, wow, she's powerful. Look at her go.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not still in the state of distress like some people I still know are still self-soothing to this very day on whatever their choice was, you know, like, again, like I say, friends and family around, but like there's obviously something in me that just went, nah, this ain't for you. You've done your part. Let's jump another track.
Yeah. And so where did that lead you? And after that kind of, now that because you're a parent now.
Yes, I'm a parent now. Yep. So
beautiful children.
I always knew I wanted children, and I have two beautiful babies. Yes, 16 and 13.
Wow.
Girl and boy.
Yeah.
And
very blessed.
So obviously I had them with my long-term partner of 20 years, which was a blessing because they were meant to be here for a reason. And yeah, where do I go with that?
Well, okay, so let's look at it like with like your experience growing up, and that's what I was saying before, is how has that impacted you as a parent? You know what I mean? Because we didn't really do any work until much later on. But looking back on the parenting styles between you and your partner, in the sense of how they were very different.
Yeah.
When it came to bringing up the children. Again, we're not painting pictures to make people look bad or in any way. So let's just put that out there. But it's just to kind of you're just looking back at yourself, because about that podcast is being about parents who are emotionally unavailable. And again, it's not a negative thing, because we've spoken about how I know I was. I think I might have been emotionally over available for my son, which is probably compensating for what I was missing. So therefore I'm kind of looking towards him to be that safety net and giving me what is empty within myself, in a sense, by having him. Not saying you did that, but it's just that my dynamics played out in that kind of area, but a whole lot of other things. So for you,
so for me, I can sort of see it as without going in too much into any other person's story, but I feel like one was available and one wasn't. So I was a bit more available and he was a bit more unavailable. So I was the love and he was the old school hard. Is that
disciplinary?
Yeah. So which is awfully hard too, because again I think I overcompensated, because I was like, like he's being tough but being a father like he should be, but then I'm like, it's okay, like, because I'm like feel bad, feel sorry or whatever, that they're being told off, but then there needs to be boundaries also.
So just looking at yourself, like how do you think you're parenting with your kids and today, looking back, like what's kind of with you know what I mean, like
giving them a voice. I think allowing them to speak, allowing them space, massive, you know, they're a person, you don't own them. Allow them to come to you. Also being open on my side. So like telling them, for example, why I'm reacting, why I'm upset, you know, because we all still have sadness, happiness, anger, because there's still things that we're always working on. But also, yeah, being open to telling them why, and just, you know, it makes...
So that's what you do now?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back a little bit, as prior to that is just, it's just kind of looking at a bird's eye view yourself. To like how you are now is totally different, but just how you were as a parent back then. Again, we're not trying to
back then.
like, and what things
dismissive.
you can kind of point out for yourself that you've learned to change that as being a more of a
open parent.
An open parent.
So I was closed. I was closed. I was dismissive. I was still gave the love, but in ways that's just like, oh, come, cool, we're good. Let's move on. Not talking about anything. So again, everything just gets shoved down. There are things like I'm not proud of. You know, there's some things that you just sometimes you can think or shouldn't say. I remember there was this one time. I used to call my daughter a bitch, which is fucking disgusting. And she came to me one day and she was like, I really don't like it when you call me a bitch. And I was like, wow. And I was like,
what were you thinking in that moment when she said that to you?
What
like,
a bitch.
To yourself.
Why are you labeling your child?
Yeah.
You know, it's the behavior or something that you're unhappy with, not like labeling.
Like, I don't condone that behavior. So this is how I react to your.
Yeah, but you're basically attacking that whole person, not just you know, like you're being cruel to someone, or you know, you're being mean, or it's like you're being a bitch. You know, like you're labeling them as a person, which they're not always like.
No.
You know, so...
Because, you know, I guess at that time you're just not understanding the behaviour, what's really going on with them emotionally.
And me.
Because you
why
don't...
I'm like, I can't be bothered dealing with this. You're a bitch. Just stop it. Like, whoa. Like, what's your problem? What's my problem?
Yeah.
You know, why am I reacting? Why... You know,
Is
what am I
triggering?
not dealing with? Yeah. So it's really going internal as well. So definitely, like you learnt from yours, you know, calling names and stuff, that must all come from us and why we can't deal with whatever is going on.
Yeah.
You know, taking the heat out of it and going, okay, let's just calm down, talking about it later, which is, again, now what we do. You're allowed to have time, but try and not say things that are going to really stick and hurt, because they do.
I guess, to our defence, and it's not condoning our behaviour either as parents back then, but we didn't have the tools or the kind of knowledge to know how to handle our own emotions. No. So therefore, when our children are acting out a certain way, we're just like, what?
Yeah.
Stop it. I remember as growing up as a kid, there was one thing Mum used to say to me if I was upset and crying. What are you crying for? Wipe away your tears.
Yeah.
Crying's no good for you. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help you. So suck it up, put it away. You know what I mean? That's how it was for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not, and I kind of did have this awareness that I didn't want to be the same way with my child, but it was more so the reaction of, what's with the attitude? Yeah. What have I done for you to be this way to me?
Without us realising that it is us.
Like now I can understand and respect if my son is got something going on, and if he doesn't want to share it with me, that's fine, and I'll respect that space for him, and I'll lay that for him, that as long as he knows that I'm here, if you want me to just listen, I'll hold that space for you now. Whereas before I couldn't do that. It would just an instant reaction. Don't talk to me like that. And when I start swearing, then he would, I knew that would change him, because he knew that once I start swearing, you've pushed my buttons, but he hated me swearing at him, which is fair enough, because I don't like it. Yeah. And now I'm aware of it because he brought it to my attention. Yeah. And when your child comes to you and actually is open enough and brave enough to say, actually, I don't like that. Yeah. You're like, oh.
Well, it's massive, yeah.
That's
And
massive.
the fact that they can, because, like, I couldn't back then.
No.
No way would you ever think to speak to anybody. You'd just be like, look, there you go.
Yeah.
Look,
The way you behave, especially with your caregivers, I think when they kind of when you're trying to express yourself, okay, and as a child you don't know, you're just expressing yourself, and when the space is not held for you to express yourself in that way and be loved and nurtured and to be understood, and it's kind of said to you in a way is, don't behave like that. Yeah. Go to your room.
I don't like it. I don't like your anger.
I don't want to see it.
Don't like your sadness. Happiness is okay. We can deal with that because you're enjoying the moment. But...
And then so you'll dismiss that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, okay, I don't want to upset my caregiver, and I'm just going to kind of get rid of that and not actually express that ever again. So therefore you're it's a part of you that you're ignoring. Yeah. And you're just kind of pushing it away and down. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Crazy. So yeah, it is crazy.
But yeah, definitely being more open. Like, I feel like our generation is definitely, or the next generation is definitely talking more, being more open, having a bit more compassion. Like, they're allowed to have all these feelings. They're growing, and their brains are growing, like, immensely. Like, we shut ours off so we can't really remember, but like, they're learning so much, and they need to be able to talk about it and have the spaces to go to, which schools are offering more and things like that, but it really starts in home.
Yeah. So what things do you kind of, what are things that you do with your kids now to keep those doors open and keeping the safetyness in amongst the home, that they can come and talk to you and express themselves when something overwhelming comes up for them, no matter what it is, whether it be from school, from a friend, or from another parent, or whatever. What are you doing to help them regulate those emotions so that they know how to handle them when things do arise to them?
Definitely just allowing the space to talk.
Do you guys have like regular kind of little catch-ups together?
Not as such, but when something happens that, like, I know things are sort of getting out of control, we will go out for dinner and have like a talk about it, or just a touch base. Hey, this is what's happening with one or the other, and like, let's just come together.
What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, they both have their talks. I think they do, getting older, talk to each other a bit more too, which is so awesome. But I think they know that I'm always here, and I think for me, just the check-ins are generally at night with teenagers. But yeah, you sure there's nothing you want to talk about? Just remember I am here. Just reminding them that, really.
I think that's
all
really
you can
important.
do, because they're not always going to open up.
No.
They just aren't.
Well, you just gave me that little beautiful advice yesterday with my boys, just reminding him that whatever you're going through, I'm always here to listen. Yeah. And if things are struggling, you always have a home to come to.
Always have a home to come home.
Always have a home. That's truly important. No matter what your kids are experiencing or what they're doing, is just remind them they always have a home to come to.
If you're in trouble, if you're stuck, if you're hurt, if you think you've done the worst thing out, you always come home. We can talk through it and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Never feel like you're alone or isolated. Don't isolate yourself.
Never. Yeah. And we still need our parents now. Like,
of course we do. I still need my mum.
Dad, I need some fun. Mum, what do you think about this? Yeah. I think you learn that more and more as you get older.
You do. Yeah, you do.
Let's hang out.
Yeah, I say that to my mum. I said, I miss you and I haven't seen you, and I know I've been truly busy, so I want to actually hang out with you. And I think she's seeing that too, because I've moved out a little bit further now. She's like, every time I go and see her now, we miss each other. So, and then when I tell her, she's like, I missed you again. Should I come and stay this weekend? Of course you can. Come and stay. We'd love to spend some time with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's, be aware of your triggers and what's kind of where you feel like stuff getting worked up, for me especially. Yeah. Do your kids notice a difference now with, like, have noticed a difference in you since
100%. Yeah. I don't think,
since things have changed,
I don't think they physically say it, but they talk to me a lot about stuff. I don't think, like you say, another important factor is it's not necessarily sometimes they want your advice. So it's like, hey, do you want me to listen? Or do you want...
I think that was a perfect one you did with me.
Yeah.
Which
I
I
only just
absolutely
learned that
love.
because I'm a talker too, remember?
Yes.
But do you want
yeah.
do you want me to listen, or do you want some advice even after they've been? Because sometimes we just
Somebody
need
else
a
said that
vent.
to me. Yeah. So I think that was a beautiful kind of way of just to add to that for them if choose if you want me to listen.
Because
Cool.
poor kids,
I'll shut up.
sometimes they just want to vent. They don't want your advice. They don't want you to fix it. It's their challenge. It's their whatever. They just want you to listen. They don't want you to go, oh, back in my day. No,
they don't want to hear that. My generation did this.
It was different.
Stuff.
We know it's different. We know phones are bad, or we've got to adapt to it, or just not be on it so much. Like, we need to spend time with our kids and, really be present and listen. It's just they don't want all your advice. Yes, you can say the little things. They'll take what they want, but they don't need to hear about.
No, but I really
what
do.
worked for you back then.
Yeah.
Way back then.
I think it is. They do really hear what you say, and I think they do kind of take it in.
When they need you, they'll come to you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're open.
Like, I'm very grateful that my son still comes and talks to me about some things, you know what I mean, which I get really excited, and I just keep I keep myself calm about it because I don't want to get overly excited, because then he's like, yeah, not telling you again. So I don't want to lose that with him in a sense. So I just stay very humble and grounded and grateful that he is still wanting to come and talk to me about things that are troubling him in his life. And I try and do the best that I can. But I will definitely, when you said that to me yesterday, and you said, do you want me to give you advice, or do you want me just to listen? I really felt, and this is really important for our kids, is they want to feel seen, heard, and acknowledged of what they're going. They just want to be validated. And even as I feel as an adult today, I still want those things. You know what I mean? And when you've got people who, your best friends and your support around you and your family, who can really do that for you, like really,
be there, be present,
be there and be present for them, and just be super grateful that you have that, because not many people do. You know what I mean? And if you can do that for another person, and it might be a stranger, awesome. Like, and I've had people come up to me and talk to me about their lives, and I just listen. I'm not trying to give them any advice.
They may not have anyone.
And anyone. So it's just in that moment, something is, the universe has put us there in that space, in that place for them to want to just talk to you, and I just listen.
Because you could say something to someone that could be like, like, I know, like, my daughter's had a couple of things where she's still struggled to come to me, and she's like, I really don't know how you're going to act, though. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, it's fine. Like, whether I don't like it, I'll let you know. And she shared them and told me she didn't want to, and she's been super anxious, and it's just how you deal with it. It was fun. I didn't agree with it, but it's like, it's done now. And just, you can say a few of your, try not, this, well, not so much, don't tell, but just give a little bit of background advice, and cool, you know. But still, just remember that you can still go to someone, even whether it not be your parent, if you have a mentor or a friend or an uncle or an auntie or someone who's close to you, definitely
even
talk about it.
A work colleague, I know some workplaces actually have that EAP that are available, which is free counselling, and whatever you're going through, it be personal, be financial, and I don't know how many sessions, it's maybe between 3 to 6 sessions free. I mean, if you've got that in your company, definitely use it. I know I have in our company, and a couple of our boys have used it, and it's really helped them. So I think that's truly
so
says a lot
counselling
about
is
a company
good
too.
if you definitely have like friends in that, but obviously, as we've learned, going deep is root cause.
Well, it's just
there's a few different other things that you can...
talk therapy is really good. It has its place to be able to bring up some things, but if it's not kind of getting into the real root causes of why you behave the way you think, why recurring patterns just keep happening, then nothing's really gonna kind of help you see the bigger picture, or really go in deep to release what is kind of blocking you and holding you back. You know what I mean? So root cause therapy is one of them. You've got somatic healing as well, which is kind of intuiting to your body, breath work,
meditation,
yoga. There's so many things nowadays that are coming really out into the mainstream and on social media that you see, and it's just inquiring, and if you've got any questions, just send a message to that person that is running a kind of a holistic practice to find out a little bit more.
And even just give it a try, I'd say.
Yeah, because I do give out free sessions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I know I give out a free session.
What are you under on Insta? You've added it on some of ours.
Mine is. What is mine?
Oh my god! Together too.
No, so it's Nairi_healing together with the number 2 together. On Instagram. And again, you can just send me a message if you want to know a little bit more about root cause therapy. I mean, that word, that whole just speaks for itself, you know what I mean? But it's all about doing it at your own pace. It's your own time. It's not going in full and deep and then that's it. It's a slow and gentle process.
But it also,
people,
it brings you to the main point that makes you look at yourself, because, it's like, I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? And it's helped me look at how I judge, blame, whatever it is out there. You really got to come into you and be like, what do I need to work on that, or where has this come from? Knowing that my stuff stems from somewhere, I can go back and be like, okay, this is why I'm acting like this right now. Okay, because it comes from here. Okay, but we're good. This is all past. And just really, self-talk is my major one. I self-talk.
Self-talk is a big thing. I love doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Talk yourself through what's going on, recognize what it is, accepting it, and then just, okay, it can go now. Thank you.
Can we? Welcome back. We just had a little break, but we're going to wrap up this episode, this podcast, whatever you want to call them. I want to say thank you to you for opening up and sharing a little bit about your background on your experiences growing up with your parents and how that's impacted you now with your children.
And I want to thank you on your half too, because we're going to merge these together. They weren't done on the same day.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because
it's not easy.
Talking can be it's very taxing at times, and it can be very emotional.
Couldn't get through much
to talk about stuff. So, and we don't like to talk about things, or we don't want to come together when we're both tired or one's tired. It's just not going to really, the energy won't gel as much as well. So, you wanted to have any passing words, Bob? You did have something.
I would just say for this one, go talk to your parents. They have stories and history they want to talk about. If it's going to be a hard question, I would just, give them a heads up. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. But get to know them. And enjoy them, and, learn about, there was things I had asked before, but I had forgotten where they were born, with, where they came up, and that my mum was the oldest, and my dad was the oldest. You forget all these things, but it really, when you're looking at yourself, it brings you back to, you were the oldest. Okay, so what impacts would that have made on and things like that. So I would definitely, there's things on TikTok that you can sort of look up. It's like, if your parents are still with us today, if they're not, that you can ask. They've got questions, actual questions, and really I've done that on both of mine, and it's really cool because it really gets you talking. It's cool.
I think if you've got any kind of questions, and take your time with that. Don't just kind of like, don't go rushing in and have a whole list of questions that you want to bombard them with. But I mean, your parents are the ones who seeded you and watered you and have helped
the
you
best
grow
with what they could and had at
the end of the day. And I think if you look at yourself, as we we're just saying before, as a tree, heal the roots so that the tree up above, which is the leaves, the branches, and all that, can flourish. You know what I mean? And if it's not, then go down and find out why. You know what I mean? And sometimes inquiring with your parents and finding that out, what kind of has helped build you to who you are today,
or what beliefs you've got from them that maybe don't need to be yours, or that you can let go of. And again, that's all intertwined with the root cause, the healing, and figuring out sort of what's yours, clearing out, throwing some of those stones away, and
from your backpack. Definitely.
which is really important. And I think that's
it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing, Sophie.
No, that was
Appreciate that. Again, thank you for tuning in and supporting our channel.
Yeah.
If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. We've always got
Two
collective consciousness.
Hey.
I tend to forget. I don't know why.
You made it.
Pretty much. Didn't make it. Did I?
Wow.
Yeah. And
We put our thoughts together, but
yeah. It's
definitely.
Yeah, it's a weaving thing together,
Yeah.
right? Hopefully, you get something out of these conversations that we have. And again, if you've got any questions, just both message us on our pages.
Yeah.
What's your page? Your personal page?
Just to collective consciousness is fine.
Oh,
but my personal.
to collective consciousness. We actually have an Instagram page, by the way. So and we'll both answer those.
Consciousness 25.
25,
Right.
because we started this in 2025, basically, and
so just message us there. But we have private accounts that are all linked. You can find us if you need to.
Yeah. If you're interested in doing root cause therapy, my Instagram page is healing_together, which is the number 2 together, on Instagram page. And if you have any questions about that, just message me if you're wanting to know a bit more, or if you want to know, if you want to kind of delve in a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.